Good morning and wishing you a wonderful Wednesday. Welcome to today's episode of Morning Well. We'll talk about three things: UK administers Pfizer vaccine, status of stimulus, Goldman's US stock market view. US stocks rose on Tuesday, propelling the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq Composite to fresh record highs following a pair of positive steps towards combating the COVID-19 pandemic. Healthcare stocks rallied on the news that UK began administering doses of the vaccine developed by Pfizer and Germany's BioNTech, signs that lawmakers remain committed to finalizing the new COVID-19 relief package also gave the stock market a boost. Bloomberg reported that Republican Congress leaders plan to talk with the White House officials in an effort to advance the talks of around $900 billion COVID-19 aid deal. Technology stocks had been in the red before the report and steadily gained ground in the second half of the session. The S&P 500 added 0.3% while the Nasdaq rose about 0.5%, both closing at their highest levels ever. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also traded higher, gaining about 0.3%, falling short of a new milestone. On Tuesday, shares of energy companies led by S&P 500 on a percentage basis added 1.6%. The healthcare stocks rose 0.7% as shares of Pfizer gained about 3.2%. Consumer staples and industrial stocks also traded higher, advancing 0.5 and 0.4% respectively. Technology companies added 0.3%, recouping the losses that they had earlier in the session. Treasuries barely advanced. The 10-year yields hovered around 0.92. The dollar was mostly higher against the G10 basket. WTI inched lower while gold advanced. Asian equity futures are pointing to a green open. As for that stimulus, Mitch McConnell suggested setting aside his top priority of business liability protections in exchange for Democrats dropping demands for state government aid in the relief package. Chuck Schumer said leaving out state and local assistance would hurt thousands of workers and accused the Senate Majority Leader of sabotaging negotiations. A bipartisan group continued to work on their $908 billion proposal as some lawmakers pushed to add individual payments, with the White House and GOP leaders discussing checks of $600 or more. On the Brexit front, I've generally avoided talking about Brexit because it seems like a never-ending story, but it seems like we are nearing the climax now. Johnson and Ursula von der Leyen will hold crisis talks on Wednesday evening in an effort to salvage a Brexit deal. EU negotiator Michel Barnier said odds of an agreement are very slim. This is according to Sky News. Johnson said he's very hopeful, but there are limits, and if the UK exits without one, that's fine too. Britain said it'll draw the controversial law-breaking clauses in its internal market bill after the sides agree on the Northern Ireland Protocol. Seems like the same to and fro to me, but just that there is a deadline that both the parties have to meet, there might be some decision that they will come up with and not keep dragging this Brexit, which has been going on since the last 4 years, if I remember. I think 2016 was when they had their referendum. Anyway, moving on. Tesla will sell shares to raise about $5 billion, tapping capital markets for the third time this year after the stock hit a fresh high on Monday. It will sell stock through an at-the-market program via banks including Goldman, Citi and Barclays. Shares are up 677% so far this year. Goldman Sachs says that US stock exposures look extremely stretched after the recent rally, risking a modest pullback in the next month. Although that may hamper short-term returns, the firm's strategists still expect significant equity market upside in 2021, given the prospects of vaccine distribution and a V-shaped recovery. Factors including low interest rate environment and fund flows support the medium-term outlook. So this is according to Goldman. Lastly, on the FX front, Euro is finally weakening ahead of Thursday's big monetary policy announcement. The losses are modest though, with a pair of less than a cent from the 2.5-year high despite a 3-day decline. The single currency has been remarkably resilient thanks in part to strong data. According to ZEW survey, German investors are more downbeat about the current conditions but upbeat about the next 6 months. It'll be interesting to see how all of that factors into ECB's outlook, because if they upgrade any part of the future economic projections, we would see further gains for the euro. Lastly, on the US dollar front, the US dollar rebounded against most of the major currencies, with sterling and the Canadian dollars leading the slide. There was no US data, but the clock is ticking for government funding bill and assistance for as many as 12 million Americans are at risk of losing their unemployment benefits the day after Christmas. So a lot of deadlines to meet, I think, in the next couple of days. It'll be interesting to see if everything goes smoothly or we'll get some surprises. That's the update. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.